Ivan Lushenko and Vadim Malchukov. Of course, this year, with all the COVID restrictions, very few international athletes have been able to make it to Kirov. So it has the feel of very much of a local flavour, almost like a Russian national championships. But still, all credit to those athletes who've managed to come far and wide to make it here this weekend. Temperature outside is minus 16 this morning. It should warm up to a nice balmy minus 10 degrees during the day, which is pretty good temperature, what you want. Those ice barrels that you can see at the top. Interestingly, for the men, they'll have one ice barrel with no pre-drilled holes. That means that they have to swing tools to place them. A lot of snow here in Kirov. Some fantastic cross-country skiing just around behind the structure. You can see it's an old ski jump dating back to the 1950s, and the wall is just underneath that structure. We wouldn't want to climb on the ski jump itself, though of course it is reinforced where the climbing structure is. Incredible location. Kirov, of course, has been at the heart of competition ice climbing in Russia for over 2 decades. And it's been a part of the UIAA story for almost that length of time as well. First hosted a stop in 2002, which was the year UIAA took over the World Cup. Since then, this venue's hosted in 2002, 2003, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 18, at the World Championships in 2019, we had the Youth Championships last year. We're back again 2021. Just fantastic to be here. See the cross-country skiing route just behind. Lots of local Russians will be out there skating all day, taking advantage. So athletes have had their observation period, their chance to work out the route. 11 minutes is a long time. So they're going to have to really think about energy conservation. So women are first. This looks like Irina Nikitina. 42-year-old athlete from Moscow begins her attempt to get on the podium. Let the fun begin. It must be quite nerve-wracking being the first climber to come out. Just really important just to steady those nerves. Make no mistakes.
Завтра Международный женский день, поэтому женщины должны поскорее пройти трассу и освободиться для того, чтобы праздновать в полной мере. На трассе.
So the starting list is in opposite order to their results from yesterday. So the best performers from the semis will go last, and those who only just got through start first. So Nikitina, she finished yesterday in 8th place, having achieved a score of 12.230. Speaking of scores, so we've got our live scoring on the right, which gives her score as she ascends this route. So to give it a little explainer on how scoring is done in the lead, the quick draw is the most important determiner of your score. So number of the quick draw gives you your score. So you can see here that Nikitina is on quick draw number 5. So that gives her the score of 5. And then she has a score of 11, which is for the hold or the zone that she's on. And then there's 0. There's an option. There's a 0, a 1, and a 2. Which tells us how far in the zone you are. So 0, you haven't moved a tool. 1, you've made the move. Maybe you've got 1 tool on the next hold up. 2 is you've got both tools on the next hold. So Irina Nikitina just making her way up. Onto now the ice barrel. So this has pre-drilled holes, which obviously makes things easier. You don't have to swing. Those holes are super secure. Even if the whole structure does move and wobble. She gets into figure of 4 there now to maneuver through this overhanging section of the route. Can she reach it? She does. And that will be the 9th draw clipped. So Nikitina knows that the pressure is on. She has to put in a very, very good performance if she's to stand any hope of getting on the podium. There's some serious talent to follow. Oh, just struggling there. She lost her footing. Can't quite get that right foot in. Very awkward climbing. There you get a sense of just how awkward it is, especially with a side pull. No, and she's off. Irina Nikitina. It's all over for her. Just needs to watch as that ice axe is going to come down at some point. Well, she allows herself a little clap. Leia just has a quick look up just to see where that ice axe is. Is it going to come down at any moment? One of the safety officials will be running up the stairs of the structure to retrieve it. Or knock it off with a big fishing pole. So Irina Nikitina, she steps back and on comes this man, Mohammad Reza Safdarian. Now, Mohammad Reza Safdarian did well to qualify for the finals. He only just made it into the top 8. And his 11 minutes begin now. Goes into that Stein with the right, moving quickly through these opening moves. Straight onto the scoreboard. 1, 2, 3. Yes, he only just managed to beat Artem Bezegsky. They both got to almost exactly the same point. They had scores of 12.17. But Reza Safdarian just got a little bit higher in the move. He got a 2, whereas Bezegsky got a 1. So it does count, this scoring. Really makes a difference just how far you can get in the zone. But he seemed like he was struggling a little bit yesterday. Wasn't quite that comfortable. It was a very awkward move, one with a very, very long reach. He's not the tallest man, Reza Safdarian. But so far, so good. Does have the potential to go all the way, to do very well. Anyone who watched last year's World Tour will remember how he went into Saas-Fee in pole position. Unfortunately, he flunked it and ended up in 4th. He now moves up into that first ice barrel of the men. This one with pre-drilled holes. So far, giving us a bit of a masterclass in how to do. Reaches, long reach with the left onto that next barrel. Quick draw number 8. Has he got it? He just tests it. Almost a one-arm pull-up that. Goes straight into figure of 4. The strength, the upper body strength there is just unbelievable. Stein with the left. That is where you hold the ice axe upside down. Once it's locked in place, it's just super bomber. Gets the next into the figure 9. Allows himself a little bit of a rest. So just 3 minutes have passed. He's got 8 minutes left. Plenty of time left on the clock for Mohammad Reza Safdarian as he reaches over onto this next barrel of ice. Swinging through the moves. Shakes out the hand. Gets that 11th quick draw. So far, so good for Safdarian. You see the blue sky behind. It's shaping up to be a great day here in Kirov. Big reach over to the next barrel. It's quite the overhanging sequence here, very demanding on upper body strength. And really tests the athlete's skill at doing this kind of maneuvers, going effortlessly from the figure of 4, figure of 9, moving through. We can just glimpse the ice barrel there in the top left that doesn't have any holes in it. So demanding this, just hanging off his arms. You get the next draw, he does. Oh. Just lost his feet a little bit there. Pulls himself straight back in. Kicks into the plywood. You don't get that much support from your feet. Not as much as you would do in rock climbing. Smearing is not a possibility in this sport. And really the crampon point is only good if it's in at 90 degrees to the wall, which limits your possibilities. Does well to get that hold. Just grabs the tool a little bit higher in the hold to get his leg over, move a little bit higher. Every inch counts. Wasn't able to get that 14th quick draw. You can tell the fatigue is setting in now by the number of times he's having to shake out those arms. Just under 4.5 minutes remaining. Mohammad Reza Safdarian. He was first in the Asia Cup. Can he get another medal today? He needs to dig deep and find a way to get some strength back into those forearms. Big reach there with a Stein. This is incredible climbing from the Iranian. Now, here is the barrel. His barrel. Every climber gets their own barrel so that they can be almost as equal as possible. Big reach gets that 15th quick draw. Moving up through the scoreboard. So he's got to swing here to get onto this barrel. And these tools are optimized for dry tooling, for the stone and plastic holds of the structure. They are not optimized for swinging. Angle is different to a conventional ice axe. And you can just see that as well. You're swinging from a really awkward angle. Little bit of a misfire there. This is incredibly challenging. He's just wondering, can he get back onto the structure? He's got to get this left tool into the ice. Only just. You can see just the pick is in. It should be good enough. Gets his left leg over into that figure of 9. Grabs the tool with the right, a little higher up in the shaft, but he's got a little bit of pick wobble. And he's off. Little bit of pick wobble. It moved and it popped. So that brings to a close Mohammad Reza Safdarian's finals. Just so he got into a swing, and that is the nature of barrels, is that they are inherently unstable. And once you get into that sort of barn door movement, swinging out to one side. It's very difficult to bring that under control. Fine if your pick is in one of those big pre-drilled holes, but not good if you've only just managed to get the tip of it into the ice. So, Mohammad Reza Safdarian, he comes off, and on comes Aneta Lujeka from the Czech Republic. A 20-year-old athlete. He's been competing on the youth circuit for a few years. Was also on the World Tour last year. So can she get another medal? Last weekend, she was competing at the World Youth Championships in Tumen and was super stoked to get a bronze in the under-21s. So her 11 minutes starts now on the women's route.
Должны преодолеть препятствия трассы за 11 минут.
So first time in the finals of a World Tour stop. Last year, her best performance was 21 in China. So obviously without so many international climbers, there's a little bit of an advantage. So she gets that third quick draw. She's on the scoreboard. She's moving up. She'll be telling herself just to stick with the plan. Focus on the moves. Focus on the breathing. Don't worry about the scoreboard. Make sure those foot placements are good. Just checks the hold there with the left hand. You'll often see climbers doing that, sometimes just to reassure themselves that the pick is in that little magical spot. Most of these holds will have an exact spot where you need to place it, such as this intellect hold where she is at the moment. There will be a metal plate inside that with little divots in it, and you've got to get the pick right in the sweet spot of that divot. And if you don't, well, you'll discover what happens. Aneta Lujeka working her way up this opening third part of the route that's gently overhanging, but very shortly it becomes fiercely overhanging. Side pull with the left, tool in the mouth. Gets that sick quick draw. Matches with the right on what looks like an intellect hold there. Now into the overhanging section for Aneta Lujeka. 8 minutes remaining on the clock.
На женской трассе спортсменка из Чехии Лужецка Анета. Давайте, друзья, давайте мы говорили с вами.
Super committed climber Aneta Lujeka. She also managed to make it to Champagne this year, back in January.
Что трансляцию соревнований, онлайн-трансляцию, вы можете наблюдать.
She managed a 6th place in the lead. A 4th in the speed. Well, the first non-Russian, which is not bad at all in that sport. We'll have the speed finals later today, kicking off at 3 p.m. with the semis. And then about an hour later into the speed finals. Do stay tuned for that. And Neta Lujeka onto this ice barrel now. So we can see she's moved up now and is very close to the high point achieved by Nikitina. She's got to get that 9th quick draw. Then move through. Move into first place. Into the figure of 4 for Lujeka. Reaches up with the right. Little bit of pick wobble by the looks of it. Is it good? It's good. Side pull. Body tension is off the scale. Big reach there with the right. We can hear fellow athletes, supporters and fans below shouting, "Dabai, Dabai." Go on, go on. Lujeka, with that move, has now moved ahead of Nikitina. She's trying to get the feeling back in her hands. It's not impossible that athletes will suffer hot aches. Cold hands, it is cold. An hour ago, it was about -16 here. How they manage their hands is all part of the game. And they will have a plan for that. Just matches the left with the right there on that interlet hold. Frees up the left hand to clip that 10th draw. Bit of a shake with the right. Matches the tool back in. Reaches up now. Still 4 minutes left on the clock. But the fatigue is setting in. That figure of 4. Just changing her position, adjusting it. Not quite happy. Just needs to get that leg as high as possible on the arm. No, and she's off. Shakes her head. Big cheers from below. She allows herself a little smile. I think in truth, she was at the end of her energy there. Just ran out of juice. Big smiles, though, from Lujeka. Great performance from the Czech athlete. We will hopefully see her again next year. So, it's now over to the men again, where Ilya Kuruchkin is preparing to come on. Young 20-year-old youth champion.
На мужскую трассу к старту
Belair just getting his
приглашен
laundry basket of rope.
участник соревнований Курочкин Илья, Российская Федерация.
Here he is. Kuruchkin is on form at the moment. He is another athlete who was competing at the World Youth Championships last weekend in Tumen. And he walked away with a 3rd place in the bouldering and a 5th place in the speed in the under 21s. Has one last look at the route. They have to start within 60 seconds of coming out. He's not hanging around. So we can see the high point of Mohammad Reza Safdarian on the leader bar there on the screen. So that's place to beat. But Kuruchkin really needs to set the bar very high indeed if he's to stand any chance of getting onto the podium, because there's some serious talent to follow. Especially from this young Russians now. We're seeing it emerge now. A lot of the protégés, in both the men and the women, coming through the ranks. It's just got that hanging undercling there. It's an incredibly difficult move to make. So Kuruchkin moving swiftly through these opening moves, not hanging around. It's not a race, but your time does count. In the event of a tie, it is the faster athlete who will emerge victorious. Kuruchkin moves on to quick draw number 6. Onto the first barrel of ice. Walks the feet up. Gets that next quick draw with the left hand. He now needs to reach over and get his tool into that next barrel. And he gets it in the top hold. Just give him a little bit of an advantage. He swings over underneath. You saw him have to wiggle his feet to extract his boot there. Sometimes if you kick too hard into the plywood, your foot can get stuck, which can be another drain on energy. So it's always looking for this maximum efficiency. Reaches, big reach there for the Kruganogi. Searching for the sweet spot of that hold before committing to it. Once it's good, it's bomber. So weighting it directly underneath. Gets the left leg over the left arm into that figure of 9. Pulls the rope through. Move just a little bit higher again on that scoreboard. There he is. 9. So he sits up to be in his position, at highest position as possible to make this Kruganogi hold. Gets it on the second attempt. But he's no stranger to Kirov. He won the under-21 lead last year. He'll be hoping for another medal this time around in the main event that is the World Tour. Unfortunately, this is the only stop on the World Tour this year. due to all the restrictions. But how fantastic that this event has managed to go ahead at all. And even the sun has managed to come out, which is a bonus in Kirov. So we're seeing virtuoso performance here from this young Russian athlete, effortlessly working through the sequence of moves on this upper part of the structure, through the barrels, and their inherent instability and wobble. Having that body control is so important, being able to control your tension. It's about having incredible upper body strength, but also that core stability just to hold it all together. Really strenuous climbing here for all the athletes. So he's within touching distance now, having clipped that 14th draw of the high point of Mohammad Reza Safdarian as he gets that stein with the left. And he's got the 15th draw. Now let's see how this athlete tackles this barrel. Got to swing into it. And this is a fresh barrel. This is not the same barrel that Safdarian had. Each athlete gets their own to ensure that it's as clean as possible, so that everyone is on a level playing field and that the athletes who follow don't get an advantage. Now, Kuruchkin, he's done it. He's through and moved off onto this hanging block. The movement of the block just makes it so important that your own movements as an athlete are so precise. Also means clipping the quick draws are a little bit more challenging as well, because those leashes can swing from side to side. But Kuruchkin did well to make that 16th draw, catching it first time. And he's moving round into the sun. Little quick shake of the right. He still looks pretty strong. We're not seeing him spend a long time shaking out the arms. Just a quick shake, back on the tool, back into the next movement. Sits up into that figure four and then makes the next move onto this next hanging block. What a great route set by the route setter. They clearly had some fun. Look, you can see he can't quite reach the leash, gets it. Just a little bit more difficult when everything is moving. Body swinging underneath a swinging block, underneath a swinging leash. It is not easy at all. We are seeing here an athlete at the top of his game. Just over 2.5 minutes remaining. Could Kuruchkin go all the way? Perhaps that is a thought that is allowed itself into his own mind as he looks up, sees how far he has left to go on this route. But he just has to focus on the next move and gets onto that next hanging block. Good luck catching that draw. He's done it. Swinging wildly about. Had to tame it, catch it first. And then clip the rope in with his thumb, which is not always that straightforward. Sometimes you can do it first time. And others, you'll just see athletes just struggling, trying and trying. Ilya Kuruchkin, 20 years old, is this youth champion from last year going to top? He thinks he is. He's got a minute 15 left on the clock. There is the top. One more quick draw to make. He's got to get both tools on that hold. He's looking like he's going to do it. He's got the time. One. There he goes. Got to match it. Got to get the quick draw and get his other tool on that hold. And he's done it. Ilya Kuruchkin tops the route with just over 30 seconds remaining on the clock. And he punches the air in delight. So that raises the tantalizing prospect of multiple athletes reaching the top. If that happens, it will come down to who got there in the fastest time. Fantastic performance there from Kuruchkin. Allows himself a bit of a wave. Very happy athlete indeed. Can't fault that in any way. So he just looks up, wondering what's happened to his ice axe. So that sets the bar very high for the athletes to come. Of course, they don't know that he has topped. They're all in isolation, unaware of the performance of each athlete before them. The only indicator is the time. You might see an athlete come on after a few minutes. Well, then they know that that person won't have got far on the route. But if the full 11 minutes have passed, well, they know that they must have got fairly high. So there's some indicators. So Irina Dubotseva is next up on the women's route. Still only 19 years old. And another youth champion coming up through the ranks onto the world stage. So she was second last weekend in Tumen. And her 11-minute start now. If you haven't already seen the live stream of all the action at the Youth World Championships, do check that out. That's on our YouTube channel as well. Bouldering and speed. First time we've seen bouldering for 7 years. Not quite bouldering as perhaps you might imagine. It's really more like lead in truth. Just a little bit of a shorter route and on a top rope. And you get a multiple attempts, but in reality, only a couple of attempts. Given that it's quite a long, it's longer than a bouldering route, shorter than a lead route. At any rate, the competition is all good experience for these athletes competing today. Because you talk about fitness, you talk about strength, but there's also another dimension. It's competition fitness, that ability to perform under pressure when your number comes up. It's all very well being able to do a route, do the moves at your own timing at the gym. Quite another when the eyes of the world are watching. So far, these young athletes have shown that they can handle the pressure. Certainly this one, Irina Dubotseva. She didn't hang around at all on that lower section of the route. She's cleaned that pretty quickly, just a couple of minutes. But it's here where the fun really begins and the angle steepens sharply. And there are all those barrels of ice to look forward to. So she has just a little bit of a shake, get the lactic acid out of the arms. Reaches over onto the first ice barrel, shuffles the feet over and slips into figure of 9. So this really is the only way to tackle these barrels. There's nowhere for your feet to go. So the best place for them is over the arm. And that serves a couple of purposes. It helps to weight the axe and make sure that it's a little bit more secure. And it also allows you to swivel into position to reach up, to sit up. And reach for that next hold. So Dubotseva gets that right through the corner. Ooh, what happened there? She just steadies herself, lost perhaps a left foot. Big reach there with the left. Just goes for a reverse grip with the right. She's just a quick draw behind the high point of Aneta Lujeka. Just tries to rest a little bit, working out the next moves. Onto that intellect hold with the left. A little bit of perhaps inexperience there. She had the hold with the left, but then took it out, wasn't happy, moved it again. But she's working through these moves. Now onto that 10th quick draw. Nice moves there from Dubotseva. She now moves into top of the leaderboard. There's still 5.5 minutes remaining on the clock. This is where your observation comes in. So important to spend that time really thinking about all of the moves. Looks quite different when you're up there and you're trying to remember the sequence that you've got to do. Dubotseva making easy work of this ice barrel. Looking to get that 12th quick draw off to the right there. She wants to get off the barrel first. Probably the sensible move. You've just got a little bit more stability on the structure itself, meaning that that quick draw will be easier to clip when you're off the barrel and it's just a little bit more within reach. Stein with the right. And you can just see how solid it is, just pulls with both hands on it. So it's quite a strenuous position to stay in. Like that, crouched down, leaning so far out. Taking her time. Work through the next moves. And on she goes. Big reach with the left. Couldn't quite get the draw on the first attempt, but she gets it on the second. Three and a half minutes remaining. Still, she's looking strong. Just trying to pull the rope through. Didn't have the strength to do it all in one go. She got the rope caught in her crampon. Just moves her foot. There we go. In sport climbing, you'll sometimes see climbers pulling the rope into their teeth. Of course, that option is not available to these climbers when you've got a tool in the mouth. So you've really got to reach with the arm and just grab from as low as possible and hope that it's enough to get the draw. Irina Dubotseva giving that right arm a good shake. The fatigue setting in. Been going 9 minutes, which is already a minute longer than they had in the semi-finals yesterday. Gets into that figure of 9. Moves into the figure of 4. Trying to get quick draw number 16 now. Leash is swinging from side to side. Can she tame it? She can. She gets it. She can't hang around now. Needs to just keep moving. Gets the next hold with the right, and she's off. Ran out of juice. Big round of applause there for Irina Dubotseva. The announcer is saying, no doubt. Dubotseva looked like she just ran out of steam. Her foot placements weren't there. She just didn't have it. And the strength wasn't there in the arms to recover. She's worked. She's so out of breath. Looking up, trying to see what happened. But she must be happy with that. An amazing performance there from still a very young athlete, only 19 years old. So next up we go to the men, and it is Georgi Duplinsky.
По 11 минут у каждого участника. Мы одинаково болеем за всех. Мы ждем результаты. Мы сопереживаем нашим участникам, спортсменам. И, конечно же, болеем и поддерживаем их.
This is his first time in the finals of a World Tour event. Let's see if he can make the most of it. See his golfer's gloves there. Most competition climbers all wear golfing gloves. Have been It's worked out that they are the best for this sport. You do get strange looks when you buy a pair of golfing gloves, I'm told, because most golfers only buy one glove. It's just going for that floating undercling here. And it's just a lot less stable than a Stein where the head of the axe is against the wall. A lot more movement, so you've got to make sure the body tension is there to maintain the position. That involves engaging basically all the stability muscles and making sure that your balance is spot on. Now, none of the men topped yesterday. Already we've seen one successful top from Ilya Kuruchkin on this route. However, Duplinsky, can he make it a second? He's just taking a moment there to consider the next move. Gets onto the barrel. Gets the quick draw. And clips the quick draw as he does the move, which is really the efficient way you want to do it. Clipping that draw as you move on to the next hold. In this case, the ice barrel. So at this point, climbers still have lots of energy in the tank. If it were only possible, we could have on screen, we could have a bar on the left showing their energy levels like a draining battery. That would be quite something to have if we could have the metrics for that. We could actually just see their lactic acid, all that draining energy just seeping out of them as they get higher and higher on the route. Like a battery, you could have a little flashing warning light as they get down to the last 15%. I think if we were to have one, we'd see that Duplinsky still got plenty left in the tank. But still some way to go. That's a little bit of a misfire on that first attempt to get on the barrel. Gets onto the figure of 9. And then moves over onto figure of 4. Gets that tool in the higher hold.
На мужской трассе Дуплинский Георгий, Российская Федерация.
So Duplinsky is another climber who's managed to get some competition under his belt this winter. We saw him at Champagny, where he came 15th in the lead and 11th in the speed. So already just to make the final 8 of this event, he's doing well. Of course, helped by the fact that there aren't so many international athletes here today. Gets the feet into the plywood. He's got to get that yellow hold off to the right. And Duplinsky is discovering it's not quite as simple as it seems. Gets into a swinging motion, rocking, using the rocking motion of the barrel to get a little bit of momentum. And he scores that hole with a direct hit, and his tool stuck. Never mind, he can clip that 13th draw a bit higher. Just a couple of draws behind Safdarian now. Still some way before the high point of Kuruchkin. Matches both tools in that Stein hold. So this is where it's a little bit more challenging for climbers, having to make your own holes on this barrel of ice. This is where Safdarian became unstuck. And the secret seems to be just having one ice axe placement. To be honest, he did do well to stay on there because the right pick did swivel round 45 degrees. And sometimes in ice, you're lucky to get away with that, to be honest. But the left hold was good. No point dwelling. I think climbers will take their opportunities from Lady Luck where they can have them. And now Duplinsky does battle with this hanging block. Duplinsky now moves into the sun, but he's probably not worrying about the cold at this stage. Despite the lack of clothes, he'll be steaming. Big reach, he's going for it. And he gets it. The accuracy required is really a skill in its own right. You have to be so precise. Gets that 17th quick draw. And he's off. Got into another rocking motion. It worked the last time. It didn't then. We'll have to have a look at the replay to see what went wrong there. Most likely, tiredness and fatigue had set in. Wasn't able to hang on. He got further than Safdarian. Not as high as Kuruchkin. Just looks up as if to say, what happened? How did I come off there?
На женскую трассу приглашена участница финальных соревнований в дисциплине трудность Филатьева Юлия.
He got the 17th draw. And then with the right, got that side hang.
У спортсменов мужчин и у спортсменов женщин одинаковое время для прохождения финальной трассы по 11.
Great performance though from Duplinsky. Yes, the right pick just popped out there. Just ripped.
Мужская слева.
So, Yulia Filatova begins her ascent now. Her chance for a podium. 11 minutes. And another young climber, 20 years old. Great to see so much young talent coming through the ranks. In fact, the climber who had the best performance yesterday was actually the youngest, only 16 years old, Daria Glotova. She had a marginal better performance than the veteran Maria Tolokonina. That could be an interesting dynamic later on. The master and the protege. But maybe Filatova has got her own plans. Let's see. On the World Tour last year, she finished 6th overall. At a 5th place in China, 4th in Korea. And that's really competing against the world's best climbers. So maybe a podium today, with many of those international climbers absent, is her best chance to get on the podium. It's where she is used to being, on the youth circuit. Last weekend, she added a couple more medals to her trophy cabinet. She had a 1st place in the bouldering and a 2nd in the speed. You can see the new ice barrel being lifted up for the men. Yulia Filatova now working through the moves. You can see on the leader bar on the right, just behind where Aneta Luzheka got to. To the figure of 4. Gets that 10th quick draw. Changes position. A little bit of a shake. Re-grab the tool. Try and get a little bit higher on the tool to make the next move. She does that. Then get your feet out into the plywood. Grab the tool a little bit higher on the shaft. Allows you to get just a little bit higher. Make the next quick draw. Move on upwards onto the scoreboard. And she's able to get that onto the hanging ice. There, just nice and calmly moves into the figure of 4. Note, there are no sudden movements, no jerky movements, no great lunges across. You sometimes see that. You sometimes see climbers going for spectacular dynos. But if they can, they're best avoided. Just want things to be as smooth as possible. And here it's not just smooth, it's slippery, and she's off. It looked like she just got into a bit of difficulty on that ice barrel. She'll be disappointed there. Just looked like she got her leg over and she just lost the grip in her hand. It just knocked her hand off the tool. You have to remember these climbers, the clock is 11 minutes, so they have a hell of a long time. And it's not unreasonable that their energy, their endurance just runs out before then. But we're not seeing a smile there at all from Filatova. I think she will be disappointed with that performance. So next up is Igor Zinoviev.
На мужскую трассу приглашен к старту участник
Another youth champion.
Егор, Российская Федерация.
He was third last year at the 2020 Youth World Championships here in Kirov. Obviously, he knows the venue well. Exhales, just steels himself now, psyched and ready to begin his ascent. 11 minutes for this 18-year-old. There's the leader bar. But he needs to get to the top if he's to improve upon the extraordinary performance of Ilya Kuruchkin. His climbing never really looked in doubt. Here's that first little slightly awkward move with a big reach off to the right, just while hanging on to that floating undercling. So with the sun's now out, the weather has at least warmed up. Now a balmy -9 degrees in Kirov. God, it was cold this morning. It started out as -16. Still not as cold as it was last weekend in Tumen, where temperatures were as low as -30. So Zinoviev just with side pull there gets onto the first barrel of ice. Got some very traditional Russian music playing below, spur him on. Wonder if there's a playlist for this. Traditional Russian Cossack dancing. Zinoviev, so far, so good. But as we've seen before with Filatova, you can just one little error, you can be unlucky, something just goes wrong. Even when you look on the replay, you just always struggling there. A little bit of a mistake. Came off, did well to get back on. Now freeze that tool. Doesn't quite have the height to make that next hold. Kruganogi, it's a big reach with the right. He's just got to get higher in that hold on the barrel. As high as possible, really. Doesn't quite have it. And this is where suddenly it becomes dangerous for the athlete as their strength just depletes rapidly from their forearms. And it's all on the arms. Trying now with the legs on the plywood, and he's done it. Just managed to get to rethink the move. Fortunate that he was able to find a second way to tackle it. A reprieve there for Zinoviev. He's been climbing now for almost 4 minutes. Looking ahead now to this next ice barrel. It's just trying to, it's interesting watching that. Just get the draw into a nice swinging movement. Allows him to clip that and get a little bit higher on the scoreboard. Big reach now onto that barrel. Taking care with the feet not to get tangled in the rope. Now that's a place he doesn't want to hang around too long. Just suspended from both arms. But it's the same position he was in as that last barrel. Gets the next draw, effortlessly clips that. But struggling. He's going for the straddle technique. Not sure we've seen that before. Seems like he can't quite get his legs over the arm. A little bit of the issue faced by Yulia Filatova a moment ago. But he's out of the danger and he's on to the next barrel. Looking now to get off these barrels. Back onto the structure. At least it's terra firma. It doesn't move, doesn't sway from side to side or spin. But you're trading that for the security of these pre-drilled holes. And he's got a rope caught over his leg. Freeze that. Vertical gymnastics here from Igor Zinoviev. Tries to get a little bit more blood back into the arms. Still a few draws short of the high point of next on the leaderboard, Mohamed Reza Safdarian. Oh, he did well to just recover from there. Slipped. Fatigue is visible. Big reach now is required to get onto that bit of yellow. 1, 2. Big swing. He hasn't had the strength to make a third attempt. He needs to get his strength back. Gets into the rocking motion, and he's got it. Gets the right leg over the right arm. Grabs the tool with the left, and then gets the right back over the left. Matches with the right tool, and then straight into the figure 9 again. It's quite the sequence of moves. Of course, it's something these athletes just practice over and over again. So it becomes almost second nature. Oh, he did well to stick that. Very satisfying for him to get that Stein with the right. Really bomber hold. He can afford at least to just shake the arms out, try and get a bit of rest. Now it's onto the barrel of ice with no pre-drilled holds. Got to swing these tools. And they are not optimized for ice climbing. These picks and the angle of them is optimized for dry tooling. So it just makes it all the more challenging to get it into the ice. And he's off. Unlucky. In other circumstances, that pick might have held.
Это
but the
действительно
penetration
трудно.
just wasn't deep enough.
Зиновий фигур Российская Федерация Кемерово. Один из регионов, где ледолазание давно и ударно развивается. Еще раз аплодисменты,
Even the
друзья мои. Давайте,
Belia there
это
is struggling to undo the rope.
очень эмоциональное, напряженное, драматичное соревнование. Это
It's usual that climbers are too tired themselves to undo their own figure of 8. No strength left in the forearms. Dry tooling picks are so aggressive, and they're wider than ice climbing picks. Means they're not ideal at all for swinging into the ice.
Музыка звучит очень задорная, можно пританцовывать. Кто умеет присядку, прошу.
And it's not really ideal swinging into the ice when you're in that position. You're just not in a good position at all. Normally, ice climbers are at least on their feet and able to lean back, pull the tool behind their head, and just whoop, slot it in over the head. And the weight of the tool works its magic. And these climbers can't enjoy any of that. So, over to the women now. We have Astakova about to begin her ascent. Anastasia Astakova, 22 years old. And this is her debut on the World Tour. She is from Moscow. Moscow being an overnight train ride away. Always great fun for the international athletes. Arrive in Moscow and then you take the train to Kirov. So it's got a little bit of a Stein going on there with the left. Reverse grip. Reverse grip, good, because it uses your stronger, larger muscles to be found on your back rather than your chest muscles. Doesn't seem to be quite as fast as some of the previous athletes. Just taking her time, perhaps doesn't quite have the experience or confidence. Fishing around here for the sweet spot of that hold before committing to it. Reaches up with the left. Looking now for quick draw number 5. Still, she's working through the moves, taking her time. A little bit of caution is often no bad thing in a climber. Rushing things can lead to mistakes. Committing when you're not quite ready, when the feet aren't quite there or the pick's just not quite in the right spot, can have terminal effect for your ascent. So no harm at all in being very methodical. Nonetheless, the clock is ticking. And in the event of a tie, it is, of course, the faster climber who goes through. So she gets onto the barrel. So far, so good for Anastasia Ashtakova. Reaches over with the right onto that intellect hold now. She gets onto the roof. Gets her left a little bit higher on the tool before flipping the leg over. And that gives her the higher position she needs to get that next hold. Gets the next quick draw. Inching her way up the route. And the scoreboard for Anastasia Ashtakova. Just behind Aneta Luzheka. Whose third place looks like it's going to come to an end sometime soon. Luzheka is going to be booted off the podium if Ashtakova is able to continue as she is doing. 5 minutes have gone. Another 6 remain. And so far, she's looking very confident, very calm. Little bit of pick wobble going on there. She'll want to get that under control. Pick wobble is one of many enemies for the ice climber. Reaches up, gets the next hold with the left. The legs swing out underneath her, but she's able to get them back onto the wall. And that in itself is not an easy feat. It shows she's still got plenty of energy left. So she now moves into third place. As she eyes up the ice barrel. Oh, and she's off. What happened there? She was looking so good. Calm, collected. And then that is the nature of this game. It can end very quickly. She managed to get onto that barrel of ice. The hold was good. Left arm looks good. And then when she commits, what happens here? She just didn't have the strength. Lost her footing. Great performance, however, from 22-year-old. She smiles. And there is Nikolai Kuzovlev, one of the older athletes competing today. Well, the athletes here either seem to be towards the end of their careers or right at the beginning. We've got 18-year-olds, 16-year-olds in the girls, or you've got two 38-year-olds in the form of Kuzovlev and Primarov. Seems to be no one in between. youngsters versus the experienced. Who will triumph in this battle today? Kuzovlev is, of course, an extremely capable athlete. He is the 2019 World Cup champion. Second overall last year. But he only managed a fourth place in Champagny in January. Sometimes can have an erratic performance. Last year, he didn't even make the finals in China. Just reaching up now to get onto the barrel. So he clears that opening ramp. And now this is where the fun and the excitement begin on the male route. Just 2 minutes it's taken him to get up to the ice barrels. He's looking very strong indeed. He reaches up into that Kruganogi hold, swings and does a big kick. Get his feet into the plywood. Quick draw number 8. I'll take that, he says. Just trying to match. There with the right, goes for a Stein hold. Big reach with the right. Effortlessly makes the next draw. So far, so good for Kuzovlev. Reaches over onto the next barrel of ice. Releases the right arm. Gets it into the higher hold. Which gives him the perfect position now to reach over, crosses over, and gets that quick draw with the right. Big reach there, right across the body. I think bats could learn a thing or two from this sport. Incredible the way these climbers are able to stay upside down and work through this overhanging roof. Matches the left with the right there. And then just gets the right over the left to free up that right arm, which he needs to get that green hold. And he's got it into the Stein. Stein also allows you to move your feet close as possible to the hold. Gets a little bit higher. Gives you a little bit more reach to make the next hole, which he needs. Impressive swing there from Kuzovlev onto his barrel. Now that pick is not going to come out in a hurry. Look how deep. Look at the penetration there. That is by far the best placed tool we've seen on that ice barrel with no holds. Is he going to get it out? He does. That can also be a problem if the pick gets stuck in the ice. So he's now on this hanging block where the challenges are different. Not easier. There's no respite now. He just needs to conserve energy, work through the moves. He's got a side hang going on there by the looks of it with the right. Just where you kind of wrap the pick around the hold. Matches both picks there into the hold. Grabs the tool a little bit higher up in the shaft to give him just a little more reach to get the next hold. Does well to get that leash under control. 5 minutes remain on the clock. He's got the time. There you get a wonderful view there of the route. You really get a sense of just how overhanging it is, just how demanding it is, and also how far Kozlovlev has come. We're still with 5 minutes remaining on the clock. The top is not such a distant prospect at all. There are no mistakes. It's not impossible. We could see our second top today. A lot can happen between now and then. Anything can go wrong. But Kozlovlev looks on form. Such a strong athlete. Some of his training videos on Instagram, they're crazy. Needs to get this block a little bit more under control if he can. And he's using the swing now. Get that next hold. Looking across to the next hanging block. Didn't quite get it. Just has to make sure there are no mistakes. He commits and he's got it. The tension now. Two and a half minutes remaining. As the top gets within reach for Nikolai Kozlovlev. He knows it's within reach now. Just has to make sure there are no mistakes. He's got the time, and he'll be quicker than Kozlovlev as well. He's got it with the left. Got to make the draw. Make the draw, then match with the right. Is he going to do it? He's done it. Kozlovlev tops the route as a second athlete to do so. And with almost 2 minutes remaining on the clock, he moves into first place. What a stellar performance there from this veteran Russian athlete. Very strong performance indeed. He sets the bar very high for anyone looking to challenge that. There we go. Big smile. Thumbs up. I've still got it. Good luck to anyone else coming after me. You've not just got to top the route, but you've got to do it fast as well. What a performance there from Kozlovlev.
на женскую трассу приглашена участница финальных соревнований.
There are 3 remaining male athletes to come: Nikolai Primarov, Ivan Lashenko, and Vadim Malchukov. And they will really need to pull one out of the bag if they are to have any chance of improving on that result from Kuzovlev. So he exits the stage. And next up, it's the women. And it's Ekaterina Vlasova. Another experienced climber. It's been around for several years. There's Kuzovlev's block of ice coming down. Are we going to see his hole? Such a good swing he did. So, Vlasova begins her ascent. Her chance to get on the podium today on the only stop of the UIAA Ice Climbing World Tour. And this curtailed season, sadly due to all the restrictions of COVID. But it's brilliant that this stop has managed to go ahead. We should, of course, do a big shout out to the Russian Federation for making it happen. All the volunteers, judges, belayers, and especially to our sponsors, Outdoor Research. We actually switched production at the beginning of the pandemic a year ago to making protective equipment. But next year, it promises to be an epic year. I think the international climbers will be let loose like caged tigers. Definitely one to look forward to. But Vlasova now. He's got over the first few moves of the women's route. Sometimes the hardest. It's that competition fitness I mentioned earlier. That ability to be able to perform when your name is called and in front of watching eyes. But she, of course, is no stranger to that at all, having been competing for 7 years. So far, so good for Vlasova. Reaches up with the right. Pulls through. And needs to just step out onto this roof. Pulls the rope, big loop. She got the reach to get the quick draw. She does. Moves up to 10th draw. A little bit of pick wobble going on there on that intellect. Just needs to make sure she weights that. And helping that process is the leg over the arm. Helping to keep the pick from wobbling and skidding off. So this is a very confident performance here we're watching from Ekaterina Vlasova. Of course, we could expect good things from her. She competes with the best of them on the World Tour, finishing last year in 4th place. She is no stranger to climbing at a very high level indeed. She's moved into third place on the leader bar. Just gets into position there. Gets that intellect. Still a way to go before she catches up with a high point reached by Dubotsva. But 6 minutes remaining on the clock. She's got the time. Question is, does she have the strength and energy? It looks like she does. She's got that Stein. Gets her legs right up underneath into almost like a crouching frog position. Ready to leap her way up into the next section. Just tries to give the arm a little bit of a rest. She's back on the move. Vlasova looking dangerous. Makes the 14th draw.
Фотографы без касок. Покиньте, пожалуйста, трамплин. Без касок, фотографы. Покиньте трамплин.
She is now tantalizingly close to Dubotsva. And if she can move past that 16th quick draw, she will go into the top spot. Still with 4 minutes remaining on the clock.
Друзья, надо поддержать Катю. Давайте поддержим спортсменку. Мы же неоднократно говорили, что здесь можно кричать, свистеть, поддерживать.
Vlasova now looking like she's moving into the lead.
Мы болеем за наших.
And she just wait for the screen to clear there. A little bit of interference. Vlasova now in the number one spot, but there are still some stellar players to come through, and she needs to get as high as she can on this route if she's to stand any chance of remaining on the podium. 2.5 minutes remaining. There's a little bit of a shake of the right. She gets the 18. Can she get to 19? Can hear teammates below shouting, Dabai, Dabai. She gets that intellect hold. She will be feeling it now. The stress, the tension. They have incredible anaerobic strength, these athletes, but it is not a finite supply. Fatigue is inevitable, and when it sets in, mistakes are made. Still, what a performance there from Ekaterina Vlasova. She just wasn't able to hang on there. Pick just ripped. Might have been her footing. Difficult to see. But great performance there from the Russian athlete. Is she happy? She's happy. She moves into first place, but still with Maria Tolokonina and Daria Glotova to come. It's questionable whether she will remain there, but at least a podium is secure for her. She at least will walk away with the bronze, with a third place. We're now looking at Nikolai Primarov warming up, windmilling his arms, making sure they're good and warm, ready for the battle that lies ahead. Primarov is originally from Russia, but now bases himself in Switzerland. Like Kozlovlev, he's one of the older athletes. Has been competing for many years. Just not quite happy with this move. You can see it's a little bit unstable. He corrects his position before committing to the next move. Like a true pro that he is. He first competed back in 2007 and took the gold in the speed event. Great to see him still competing after all these years.
Бывают разные типы слова «не». Не, не, не. Любое из этих «не» поможет вам избавиться от лишних ограничений и откроет новые возможности. Встречайте «не-тариф», выгодную подписку на связь и сервисы экосистемы МТС. «Не-тариф».
Can he get on the podium today? He was fourth in Champagny. Narrowly missing out. Could a slightly reduced international field play to his advantage? So far, so good.
На мужской трассе Примеров Николай, Швейцария.
Gets that Kruganogi hold. Is this Jingle Bells I can hear? A Russian version of it. Nikolai Primirov making his bid to get on the podium at the lead finals here in Kirov. Manages to get onto barrel of ice. Quite a lot of movement there. He now needs to steady that, slow it down. And he does that expertly, using his feet just to slow the kind of wobble and pendulum motion, get himself back under control. Get that 12th quick draw. Very bright guy, Primirov. He's got 2 PhDs and a master's. Works as a laser engineer. Some of that laser focus is now required to find a way through this maze of ice barrels and hanging blocks. Get a sense there of where he is on the route. Still a way to go yet before he starts to threaten the podium. Just struggling a little bit to get into a satisfactory position. Tries a slightly different position. Get that yellow hold. Strength in the left arm is waning. Is he going to do it? Doesn't quite have the reach. Needs to perhaps adjust his feet position. Get a little bit more of a swing going on that ice barrel. You can use it to your advantage. But he's taking his time here. Trying to get his breathing under control. You can just see him exhaling there, breathing out, trying to just lower that heart rate, get a little bit of strength back. Trying to get his feet onto that barrel. Get as high as he possibly can. But the feet aren't sticking. He's really just struggling here. It's almost like we can watch the strength draining from him now. He's heaving, his chest is just breathing hard, which is harder still when you've got a tool in your mouth. So close, yet so far. He's just trying to get his... Is it the strength back in his hand, or has he got the hot aches? It's not impossible. He's got cold hands. Where he was violently shaking out his left arm there. Jess is just having a little bit of issues with the hand. So Nikolai Primirov battling with this barrel of ice, desperate to get off it, desperate to make the next move that will take him back onto the structure. He just can't seem to reach, no matter where he puts his legs. He's going for it now. Has he got it? Has he got the strength to make the move? grip strength is just not there anymore. He's got it. No. Thought he had it then. It looked close. No, it looks like it's all over for Primarov. He's got nothing left in the tank. A sad end to his attempt. His performance in the men's finals comes to an end. Just not able to transition off that barrel. Just couldn't seem to get his body right in the right position. Look of frustration on his face. He's just exhausted. Shaking his head there, wondering what happened. That is not the look of an athlete who is happy with their performance. He's worked, but we're not going to see a smile from him just yet. Perhaps a bit later. Disappointing there for Primarov. But it gives an indication just of the technical difficulty of this route. Route setters have certainly had some fun with it. So, back to the women. This is Maria Tolokonina, the 33-year-old six-time lead and six-time speed World Cup champion. The most successful climber in UIAA history. And this is why. Just look at the way she climbs. Flawless. Fast. Effortless. She's actually a coach to many of the younger climbers who now threaten to challenge her. She already has a bulging cabinet full of trophies and medals. There's probably not the space for any more booty, but that won't bother her. She still has the desire and drive for more medals. But what an astonishing number she already has. Just on the World Tour alone, we're not even talking about national championships or European championships, but on the World Tour, since 2008, she has a total medal haul of 35 medals. 21 gold, 6 silver, and 8 bronze. By the end of today, perhaps she will have added another medal to the tally. Let's see. Been going for 2 minutes. Still, anything can happen. But anyone interested in this sport would do well to just watch videos of Maria Tolokonina climbing. The efficiency of movement. every time a masterclass. So the leader bar is now showing that she is now looking to move up and start challenging the other climbers. Next on her target list is the high point reached by Yulia Filatova. And she'll do that if she can just make the next quick draw. Swings out onto that ice barrel, not hanging around at all, Tolokonina. None of the women have so far topped. Vlasova currently has the high point. Score of 19. Still some way to go for Tolokonina. She gets into that stein. She gets into that crouching frog position. Ready to spring onto this next overhanging ramp on the route. She gets the tool placements and then is so quick with the legs just to move them into position. Gets into that high figure of 4, able to make the next quick draw. Still 6 minutes remaining. Certainly she has got the endurance to go all the way. Tolokonina showing us how it is done. But anything can yet happen. Mistakes can be made. Misfortune can happen to even the best climbers. She is now guaranteed a medal. She now, after today, will walk away with 36 medals to her World Tour tally. She gets into second place. Remember, still Daria Glotova still to come. Vlasova, if she is watching, will be starting to feel a little bit worried, I should think by now. Watching this master performance from Tolokonina. Just look at that. Extraordinary climbing, agility and finesse from Tolokonina. She doesn't even get that quick draw early on, waits until the last minute to clip it. So confident she is. And she's already clipped the 19th quick draw. Moving up into first place now. Can she top? 3.5 minutes remaining. Just over. She hasn't even looked tired yet. A little bit of rotation going on there. She just needs to steady that. Shouts from below, cheering her on. There we can see how close she is to the top. It's possible. Certainly she is setting the bar very high for Daria Glotova coming behind. There it is, at the top. It is within sight. Got to get both tools. Maria Tolokonina, she's got one. Oh my word, and she doesn't do it. She's off. She is angry. She is annoyed with that. She was so close. She had it in the bag and still with over 2.5 minutes remaining. Very unlike this most professional of climbers. She will be furious with that. What happened there? The top was there. She had one tool on it. Just a moment from getting both tools up, and she's upset. She can't hide her disappointment. Bile, they're just giving her a comforting hug. She's on the podium. That's guaranteed. But that allows the way, it paves the way now for Daria Glotova to come through. All Glotova has to do is top the route to take the gold. It just goes to show even the most experienced athletes, even the best climbers in the world, are not immune from making just a little mistake. And in this game, one tiny mistake, you're off. There's no coming back from it. Unfortunate for Tolokonina. Did she just relax? Did she get a bit complacent? Did she just assume that she had it in the bag, or was something unlucky? A bit of pick wobble, perhaps? All these things can happen to anyone. Or did she lose her footing? Crampon point perhaps just coming out. At any rate, it leaves the way open for Daria Glotova to take the gold if she can just top the route. But we shall have to wait and see for that little drama to unfold, because we're going back to the men now. And we've got, now, here we go. So Tolokonina, not the best viewpoints. We can see she gets one tool on that top hold. And we can see the bottom tool just lost her footing. She just wasn't in the best position for it. But now it's the turn of Ivan Lashenko. 19 years old. He was second last weekend in Tumen in the bouldering. Is that slightly awkward move? Just got to maintain good body tension there with that undercling on the left before clipping with the right. Into that interlet hold. Good view of what they look like. That little metal plate inside the hold. You've just got to get the pick in exactly the right spot. even though he's still a very young athlete. He's been competing for several years, Lashenko.
На мужской финальной трассе Лощенко Иван, Российская Федерация.
Both in lead and speed. Also saw him in Champagny. He was part of the Russian contingent who came over to France for that, where he finished up in 5th place. He will be looking to improve upon that today. So far, so good, as he works his way now through these first barrels. Onto that Kruganogi hold with the right. Just taking time here, taking care. Using a little bit of a hand there just to help himself around before reaching up and getting that next Kruganogi with the right. Matches both tools. Gets the next quick draw. He's now approaching a high point achieved by Nikolai Primarov. Into the figure of 4. Reaches up and gets the tool into the higher of those pre-drilled holes. And he's got number 11. On to 12th quick draw. On to the next barrel of ice. Now, it was here where Primarov got stuck. The Swiss athlete just couldn't get off this barrel. Let's see how Lashenko gets on. It's just that big reach you got to do onto that yellow hold. Quick shake of the hand. Try and get some strength back into it. Tries to reach with the first, second attempt. Third attempt. And he sticks. Got it. No. He had it. You've got to get it on the top. It's not an easy move at all. But that's unusual to see an athlete actually get the pick on the hold and then come back down again. It seemed as though he had it then. Not looking good at all for Lashenko. That is the hold. He's got it. He had it. He somehow couldn't make it stick. He's going to have another attempt. Still got time on the clock. Tries to shake out that left arm as much as possible. It needs to do the heavy lifting, hold him in place while he reaches up with the right. Has he got it? Is it good? He thinks so. He's committing to the move now. and gets into the figure of four, waiting that pick. Took his time. He got there in the end. He now moves ahead of Primarov. 4.5 minutes remaining on the clock. And next in his sights will be the high point achieved by Igor Zinoviev. Although, of course, he is climbing this blind. Climbers have come direct from isolation. They're not aware of how the previous athletes before them have done. It's all about their own performance. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting as Lashenko approaches the ice barrel without any pre-drilled holes. And this barrel is unique for him. Just swings over. Is it good? Looks it. This was the point that was the undoing for Mohammad Reza Safdarian. And for that reason, that once you're on the barrel, it's almost impossible to swing your ice axe in. Many of the other athletes who've got past this high point have succeeded by only placing one tool in this barrel. These tools are not ideal at all for swinging into ice, particularly from a figure four position. Very difficult for Lashenko now. Athletes who have succeeded to get past this have managed to do so by placing only one tool. The angle of this tool, which is optimized for dry tooling, is just not ideal at all for swinging into water ice. Has he got it there? Is it good? Just. Does that help him? Does it allow him to get a little bit further? And he's inching his way around it. Can't help wondering that he's making life hard for himself. That pick placement now is not secure at all. He's just millimeters away from ripping here. You can see the ice fracturing. And he's off.
Друзья, аплодисменты, аплодисменты. Да, это нелегкий спортивный труд.
His leg caught.
Благодарим за этот труд Лощенко.
Lashenko there making heavy work of that ice barrel. You can really see now what a difference it makes for athletes to have those holes pre-drilled in. But really, when you get on that barrel, your number one objective is to get off it as quickly as possible. The successful athletes who managed to achieve that, they did so by placing only one tool into that barrel. But Lashenko seemed to get into a situation where he was getting not just one, but 2, 3 ice axe swings into the same barrel. And each placement was weaker than the last one. And by the end, yeah, he tried to go into a figure of four. He tried to weight that pick, and it wasn't in. The penetration wasn't in. Still very cold. It's about -9 degrees here. So the ice is pretty hard. So, back to the women, and this is going to be an exciting ascent because this is Daria Glotova, who is the young challenger to the reign of Maria Tolokonina, just 16 years old. She wasn't born when Tolokonina first started competing. And here she is, age 16, ready to challenge the champion. Now she can top this route. The gold medal is hers. Tolokonina has left the door open by failing to top the route, and she had it literally within touching distance. This girl is on form. She took both gold medals in last weekend's under-19 events, both the speed and the bouldering. And she seems to have a bit of speed on here, moving very quickly through these opening moves, not hanging around at all. So she makes her way now to steeply overhanging section of the ski jump. That is the venue for Kirov, onto the ice barrel. She's done that in just 2 minutes. Onto that intellect hold now. Remarkable to think, really, sometimes what they hang off, just a few millimeters of the pick rest on a little divot and a piece of metal. But she's not hanging around to contemplate that. Just make the moves, work through the sequences. Big reach to get that 10th quick draw. So far, so good from Daria Glotova. All that can change in an instant, especially when fatigue sets in. Moves into the figure of four now, eyeing up that next ice barrel. Just pulls the rope through to get that 11th quick draw. Effortlessly moving up through the field. She, barring a disaster, she'll overtake Yulia Filoteva's high point very, very shortly. Onto this barrel, gets her tool into the high hold, allowing her now to start looking ahead to get back onto the structure. Just switching between the figure of four, figure of nine there. Allowing her to reach up, get back on the structure. Can she get the 12th quick draw? Still quite a few holds to make before she can guarantee her place on the podium. Here she is at 12. 16 is the point where Irina Dubotseva got to. Just allowing herself a bit of a rest before continuing on. Very impressive climber Expect we'll see her for many years to come. First started on the youth circuit age 12. So already has 4 years of experience of competition under her belt. We're really seeing her come of age now on the world tour. So far, a flawless ascent. 5 minutes remaining. But anything can go wrong. Just ask one Maria Tolokonina. Even when you think you've done it, she can't quite reach that leash. Sometimes you'll see climbers use their tool to just swing the leash towards them. Yep, and that's exactly what she's doing. No. Number 16. Very soon, she will be moving onto the podium if she hasn't already. There she has, overtaking Dbotsva. She at least now will walk away with a bronze medal after today. But I suspect she won't be content with that. She wants to go all the way, aiming for the gold. Dethroning the veteran. We're going to see the youth triumphing over a protege coming through, beating the teacher. What a big reach, this one. Glotova, a few attempts, hasn't quite got it yet. Needs to just recover her equilibrium again. Have another attempt. Got it this time. Is it good? You think so? Commits. Still good, despite the swing. Just having a bit of it. Gets the 18th quick draw. She is now inching closer to the high point reached by Ekaterina Vlasova. She gets the 19th quick draw. She now moves into second place. So it's Glotova versus Tolokonina with just over a minute and a half remaining. All this girl has to do is just top. Still a few moves to make. Anything can go wrong. She's not as fast as Tolokonina, but if she can just get both her tools on that high hold, just next to where it says top. The tension is palpable. Can't quite reach that leash. It's so close. She's got a minute left. She's got the time. Can't quite. Can she get it? She's got it. She's got the quick draw. Now it's just that hold. She's cutting it fine. 40 seconds remaining. It could go either way. Little bit of a pick wobble there. Just thought for an instant she was in danger of coming unstuck. She's got it with the right. Can she top? She's got to get that left to match. She's done it. Daria Glotova takes the gold. Here, the women's lead finals in Kirov. She is the winner today, beating Maria Tolokonina. A remarkable achievement there. Fantastic performance from the young 16-year-old. And the celebrations begin. She can't quite believe the joy. And it's Maria Tolokonina. How lovely to see that. Congratulating her. Great sportsmanship to see that. Tolokonina, the first to congratulate her rival. And protege, Daria Glotova. Well, that brings to a close the women's lead final. So straight away, we got the picture. Hugs from the family and the team. Amazing performance. And still only 16 years old. I suspect we're going to see this girl in many more years to come. Perhaps her name will be as familiar as Tolokonina as we go ahead. Absolutely great performance there. She walks away with the gold. Her first gold on the World Tour. But it's not over yet for the men. This is Vadim Maltschikov, 22-year-old from Kirov. He knows this structure well. Of course, he doesn't know the route, but he's familiar with the structure. Last year, he took a 6th in the lead in Sasfe. So without some of the international athletes here, perhaps he now has a better chance of getting on a podium. He will certainly be hoping that's the case.
На трассе финальные соревнования в дисциплине трудность продолжаются вовсю.
Oh. A little bit dangerous there. His foot just came off. He's slightly barn-doored off to the side. He did well to stay on. So in the men, the bar is very, very high indeed for Maltschikov. He not only has to top, but he has to do it in a good time as well. He, of course, knows nothing of this. But both Nikolai Kozlovlev and Ilya Krychkin have topped the route. Nikolai in the time of 8:58 and Ilya in the time of 10:22. So he could still top the route and only end up in 3rd place. (8:45 and counting. not quite as fast as Nikolai Kuzovlev, who took just 2 minutes to get to that first barrel. Maltchikov is more like 2.5 minutes to reach the same point. And losing, hemorrhaging valuable time here, just trying to get that high Kruganogi. Not an easy reach. Mind you, none of this climbing is easy. There's not a single move on here that is easy. But shall we say, some moves are harder than others. Reaches out left onto the barrel of ice. Gets a tool into one of the high holds. Works his way around. And then he's got to get onto the next barrel. He's left his tool there. Nicely done. Expertly done. So Maltchikov had the best performance yesterday in the semis. But will he have the best performance today? That remains to be seen. So far, so good. But this is one of the sticking points. This is where Nikolai Primarov got stuck. Just wrestling with this ice barrel. Just couldn't make that move. Let's see how Maltchikov gets on. Got to get your pick into the top of that yellow hold. Close. Has he got it? He's got it. Over he goes. Wasting no time. His left pick just got a little bit stuck there. And he'll be relieved now to be back on the structure. Thinking about the next section of this route into the Stein. And that's absolutely bobber. Can perhaps afford to shake out the arms here if needs be. But he's not hanging around. Big, very determined swing. Oh, and it's off. Oh, that's unlucky. It was a good placement. But if the ice fractures, there's nothing you can do about it. That's just bad luck. He doesn't look over the moon about it. Just ice just ripped. That is unfortunate. Wasn't a mistake. But that is the name of the game. The ice can just do that. Fractures away. It was certainly a secure swing. It was a very strong swing into the ice. His penetration was good. Very unlucky there. He's not happy, and he's going around the back. Look at that. Not happy at all. Looks like he doesn't even want to face the cameras. So Maltchikov will end up in 4th place. But let's have a look at the women's results. We now can see that in 3rd place, that goes to Ekaterina Vlasova. In 2nd place to Maria Tolokonina. And after that incredible performance, Daria Glotova takes the gold. Which means that over in the men, we have in 3rd place Georgi Duplinsky. In 2nd place, Ilya Kurychkin. And in 1st place, Nikolai Kuzovlev takes the gold in another all-Russian lineup. So that brings to a close the lead finals. Thank you for watching. You can check out the results, reports, pictures, and more on the website, UIAA.org. And of course, our social channels at UIAA Mountains. Don't forget to check out the speed semis and finals, which promise to be an epic showdown there at 3 p.m. local time. Until then, it's goodbye from us.